Good afternoon. On today's WOTWIP and Coffee, and I have iced coffee because the sun is out finally here. It's fantastic. Now I have two cats down here at my feet. Ronan has occasionally been jumping up and getting behind me or trying to get in my lap, so who knows what they'll do. They're both kind of crazy today. Oh, I am so glad to actually see the sunshine. So of course, although when I first got up this morning I was not too thrilled, I walked into the one room and the cats had managed to turn their litter box on the side. Now I have two litter boxes in the house, just because of how big the house is, and two cats, that kind of thing. So I was like, wonderful. And I have no idea how they managed to do that. The only thing that spilled out was some litter. It didn't have any poo or pee out there, so I think I was lucky there. But I'm still trying to figure out how they did that. And I'm kind of wondering if it's easy that did it. Because when she is in her manic phase, I call it manic or OCD. She tends to make a bit of a mess. And she tends to try to stand on the side of the litter box and use the side. She doesn't really scoop the litter to cover her stuff, her business. Usually it's brother that comes in a little later and behind her and scoops it up, covers it. But this is also the time that she constantly goes over to the food bowl and tries to bury it. And she also does a lot of walking around with her, one of her stuffed toys in her mouth. So I don't know what she was a little freaked out about. Who knows, maybe she's freaked out by the CPAP. I am adjusting to it slowly, but still when it gets that high pressure, it wakes me up every time. Causes a lot of, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but a bit of hoarseness, and that's even with the humidifier on. So, I don't know what the answer with that is going to be. Because unfortunately, with my paralyzed vocal cord, the humidity really affects it. Thought about turning the humidifier off, not using it at all. And I think I'll try that later tonight, see if that helps a little bit. Because what happens with my voice, even though I'm talking, I feel like I'm forcing myself to talk, and it actually does feel like I'm having to almost yell. Kind of like when you get laryngitis, how when you talk, you feel like you gotta talk louder and it doesn't work. It's kind of like that. Yeah, I'm thirsty today. What? Craziness. Finally finished watching the Boggy Creek Blanket Brigade, the new blankets that came in. And I'm hoping Nancy gets her situation fixed, because that's got to be annoying. Absolutely annoying. Now, I know I'm a little bit perturbed by the way our FEMA is responding. You know, I've been part of a search and rescue team, and I know why they don't want private citizens in there. They say it's for their protection, so that they won't get injured and cause a bigger problem. But it's not quite all that wholesome. Then, of course, you hear all these reports where some of these towns are supposedly having meetings and actually condemning the property of those people who live there, to not allow them to go back into it at all. They can go get some of their belongings if they can find them. They're anywhere nearby, I guess. But then one of the little known things is they sit on a bed of lithium in that area. And so they want to be able to control that land. So I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. And I do have friends who are still in the search and rescue and recovery teams. And they all said Katrina was bad, because all of them have worked Katrina. But this is by far the worst they've ever seen. I mean, they're traversing and hiking into some of these places because they can't really get in because the roads are washed out, and mudslides, landslides, and all that 9 yards. But they're finding bodies upon bodies, and that's always a bad. That leaves a scar on a person's soul, even when you are the person that is doing that search and recovery and that kind of thing. It's tough. It's a very tough job, tough thing to have to do. So, and some of the devastation that they're seeing, they've never seen before anything like this. Katrina was nothing compared to what they're seeing here. And when you stop and think about it, Asheville is not quite 2,500 feet above sea level. Miles, I think. No. Feet. But they're quite a distance from the sea. So it's kind of odd to see that kind of damage in those areas. And a lot of the dams went. The river has changed course, of course, with the mudslides, landslides, and all of that debris being washed down there. A couple of videos. It just shows cars, trucks being washed down the mountain. And some of it's just crazy what you see. But I have to tell you, I was a little disgusted with our administration saying they're going to give people $750, not per person, per household, if they are in need. If you're not already on food stamps or Medicaid, you're automatically denied. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous, people. And then them trying to turn away all the private pilots that are flying in, dropping supplies, rescuing people. They need the help. Our administration, sent 500 service soldiers down there? and they're limiting what they can even do. They won't let them hike in. You know? So, I don't know, it's sad. It's sad. Found a knot in my yarn. I'm actually doing that Tunisian scarf. I'm working on it again. Just because it was right here by my side, my Ripple Romance is over by my other chair. So I thought I would just work on this because it's right here. And then the most ridiculous part of our Vice President's announcement was for these people to go online, fill out the forms. There's part of me that goes, duh. I am grateful that a lot of the different cell companies are allowing anyone to use their cell towers during this time. And of course, Elon Musk is putting out as many Starlinks as he can get out to help them connect that way. And I believe, can't remember the other service. Is it OnStar? I think it's OnStar. That is allowing folks to use it as a way of communication as well. So that's positive. But these areas, they have a long way to go. And of course, I heard a report, I was listening to Brian Kemp, the governor, was lambasting our government because out of the 90 counties that are practically wiped out by this hurricane, they've only approved 11 of them for aid. You know, and of course you got Mayorkas saying, we're going to run out of funding back in June of this year for FEMA. So why didn't you include that in your budget this year? For more aid for FEMA. And I haven't gone to see it yet, but I had a friend tell me that on Harris's website that they're now going to put forth $570 billion to go to Ukraine for their war efforts. Why not spend it here on Americans? Just once. So I don't know. It's crazy. I would suggest, however, that if you make your donations, that go through a church instead of through some of these other places. Even private people, private companies that have been staging areas to collect things. Apparently FEMA is confiscating all of them so they can determine where they go, if they get out to the people or not. I don't know about you, but if I've donated baby wipes, baby food, diapers, toothbrushes, toothpaste, simple stuff like that, I want it to go to the people that are in need right now. I don't want it to go some third world country or somewhere else because you think that's a good place to put it. So, I think this is going to be a bigger deal for quite a while. And I do love those stories of people stepping in to help their neighbors, people down the road from them. Sometimes the good old boy network works for the good of all the people. And that's kind of what we're seeing here is a lot of the good old boy network that's working, standing up, doing the hard work. And a lot of these people are trying to save what structures are left, keep them, bolstered so that they can continue to live there. But it's crazy. Animals displaced. Just crazy. Not only that, but all that area that grew crops. That's going to be a major loss for agriculture in that state as well. And then, of course, the courts. That road's completely washed out. And that's vital for a lot of things that we use nowadays. And it's the only one of the few quartz suppliers. It's the only one in the U.S. It's one of, I think, 3 in the whole world. So, and then I watched the thing with the longshoremen. Now, I know they work hard and they work long hours because I've heard often they work 12 to 16 hours a day. But generally their salary for the year is about $81,000, and that's without any overtime. They want a 77% increase in their wages over the next year, but they don't want to be automated. They don't want any automation. Now I see that as a twofold thing. I think the automation will help move things much smoother and get things through there faster. But I kind of see where some of the longshoremen, they constantly reported about hearing screams from people that are in these containers. And, not having a clue where they're going, and they would like to open the containers, but they're not allowed to. So for that end, I think, yeah, the automation would cover that up. You wouldn't be able to find those a little bit easier. But, yeah. Like I said, trafficking humans is a busy, big business. And unfortunately, the U.S. is one of the biggest traffickers in the world. Not only of humans, but of sex slaves. So I don't know. That should be interesting. Of course, President Biden could have stepped in and helped with negotiations, had a team do that, but he's just letting them do that. I guess they're relying on Kamala's statement about the collective, letting the collective come together and do a bargaining for the collective. Sometimes you need someone to guide you that has a calmer head than the bigwigs and the people that are a little hot under the collar. And quite frankly, that the president of the International Longshoremen's Group when he put out there that doesn't matter to him because they're going to cripple us. So who are they crippling? Are they crippling the companies that use these services? No. They have money. They'll survive throughout it. They'll be able to get goods here, there, and whatnot. They are crippling the rest of us. So I'm hoping that they come to an agreement soon that helps all. But I honestly think 77% income increase, even though it's over 5 years, it's kind of steep. But what do I know? Nothing other than what I can learn by talking with those people that are directly involved. So yeah, it's been a little bit crazy this past week. Not quite sure how that's going to end up in the long run for these folks, but hoping that many of them can get back on their feet and quickly. And I'm also hoping these storms are supposed to be coming in, through the 12th of this month. I hope that they don't show up. Hoping that they actually go back out to sea. And supposedly there's one over near Taiwan that's coming up heading this way. That looks to be a pretty massive storm. So I'm hoping that that just fizzles out as well. It's crazy, isn't it? Had to turn my heat on for the first time last night. And boy, was I trying to avoid that. Mainly because I knew we were going to get some warmer weather. Like today we're supposed to get up to 75. And I think tomorrow we're supposed to get up to 77. Of course, tomorrow I'll be out there machete for the new sprouts of the bamboo. And probably some weed eating. That's on my ticket to get some things done. And honestly, I'd rather be sewing, knitting, or crocheting. But for some reason, there are other plans. Are there not? Hang on, folks. Let me get this because it's going to drive me. So anyway, things are just kind of crazy if you ask me. Hoping we manage to get through it all without going stark raving Looney Tunes. But yeah, got this much done on the scarf so far. And it's one of those nice projects, just sit and mess with, work with, that kind of thing. The internet occasionally are having still issues with it. They seem to think that it's perfectly fixed, repaired, whatnot. But I'm sure that they really need to do some other things here. They're just putting it off for whatever reason. But I had someone tell me, yeah, and her husband actually works for Xfinity. I had someone tell me that what happens is Xfinity hires contractors to come do the work that are not trained with Xfinity or on their equipment, and they're given an idea of what they're supposed to do. So they'll go out and they'll fix it according to what they think works. And then the Xfinity workers actually have to come behind them and fix the issues. So I find that rather interesting. But, craziness. I have been looking through some of my yarn. I have a project that I want to do that I know I have the yarn, but I need to find the yarn. Have you ever had that happen? Of course, they're all in those totes, and I just have generals, so I've got to go back and watch my videos to see what I have and don't have, so I can see which totes they're in. Oh well. It'll be another adventure, right? And I have to tell you, I have these two cats fighting over things. I have under the front bar, I have a box that I normally throw newspapers in, or some of those circular ads that I get a lot of, so that I can put them in that box and give them to someone who does a burn pile, and they like to have those to start the burn piles. These two have knocked over that box to the side, and they keep running each other out of that box to sleep in the box. They're absolutely crazy cats. I'm telling you. They keep me laughing. Of course, sometimes they agitate me, There are days when they're super needy and I'm like, I don't have time for your neediness. I have things to do. That's okay. They take care of me and I take care of them, so. So what are you guys working on this week? Are you working on the same thing you've been working on? Those of you that are in some of these areas that you've lost electricity, I sure hope your electricity comes on soon. Mainly because North Carolina, even in September, can be hot. South Carolina can be hot. So I'm hoping those folks will get their electricity on. Sorry about that, folks. Need to answer that. And I'd come home from one of the Bible studies that I go to. And it's a Bible study. We're doing Luke. And this weekend they're having a big sort of garage sale. That's kind of what they call it. These are things that they collect throughout the year. Children's items, toys, clothing, that kind of thing. They have quite a few people that donate lots of packages of baby wipes, diapers, all kinds of things like that. And the whole idea is for you to come and to be able to take away, at an economical price, because they get rid of anything that's soiled or damaged. They don't include that. And it's a love offering if you can give it. If not, you don't have to worry about it, because their main focus is to be able to help one another. The yard sale, any money that they make is generally what they spend on next year's garage sale to provide, additional diapers, those kind of things that they give out to those that are in need. So it's pretty interesting. And so we were in the sanctuary instead of our usual meeting room, because the usual meeting room is filled to the gills with stuff. And of course, coming into the front of the church, into the sanctuary, it was pretty full of stuff too. And so you got an idea of a lot of things that were available, besides diapers, because they had stacks and stacks and stacks of diapers, boxes upon boxes of all kinds of stuff like that. But they also had a lot of toys, indoor, outdoor toys, kids' toys, bicycles, trikes, baby strollers, you name it. So it's always amazing to see that in this church. They've been doing this for quite some time. So they're pretty well acquainted and do a good job each year with this. So it was interesting to see the amount of items that they had out there. The different variety. I know when I was younger, I could have used a church like that had those kind of things when I had those twins as babies. Could have definitely used help then. But I'm glad that there are now churches that take those things seriously to help their communities. In our community, we do have a lot of people who have needs that can't be met without someone being generous. So that's a pretty neat thing to do. But yeah, that's kind of where my head was at, thinking about those and how to help. I mean, I don't have any need of things, but you never know. And they are doing I guess later on this month, they're doing something else, like a fall festival type thing, but it's also going to have a chili cook-off in it. So there'll be food and whatnot. Now, in the past, when they've had this garage sale, they've also had baked goods and sold, like hot dogs and chips, those kind of things. So I don't know if they'll have that again this year, but they have had it in the past. And that's always kind of fun because, it's pretty cheap. I don't know if you ever remember going, and I know this Texas and some of the places that I lived. A lot of places don't do that, but you just go shopping to get your groceries, and outside there would be a place where you get, a Coke and a hot dog for 25 cents each. Of course, I'm sure it's not that price anymore. But, get a halfway decent meal that way. That was always a lot of fun. And my kids always loved that. And of course, when they were a quarter apiece, we could afford it. So, well, most of the time could afford it. There are sometimes couldn't afford it, but most of the time we were able to afford it. Of course, around here they have a lot of, what a lot of people call those roach coaches, mobile units that go around selling, like sausage and onions and peppers, those kind of things. Around in this area, they'll set up a little shop or, pizza slices or whatever. So that's always neat to see. Of course, I tend not to go for those. Not really a fan of sausage, peppers, and onions. I know a lot of people are. And generally when I have my sausage, I normally have it mixed in with either potatoes or like the Zatarans dirty rice mix, or red beans and rice. I've done that before. Red beans and rice is my favorite, with the sausage cut up and then adding bell peppers and some added onions in it. And one of my things about it is I love having that like a burrito, that mix. That's my biggest thing with sausage. Now Thomas and I used to do bratwurst, but we never did the peppers and onions with it. Usually it was bratwurst and fries. That was always something he wanted. Fries with everything. Waffle fries if you could get them. And I've been seeing quite a few of the newer yarns coming out. I'm kind of interested to see what the Christmas yarns are going to be like for Joann's. I've seen quite a few yarns that a lot of the other channel people have that are very, they're not available in my area of the big twist. And I kind of wish they were, because it would be fun to see them. So, yeah. Well, I'm sitting here and I see my battery is flashing, so I'm about to lose power. So I am going to let you go for today, and I will see you again soon. Remember, be kind to one another, love one another. And let's not let this election drive us nuts, drive us apart. See you guys soon. Bye.